let's address the elephant in the room, which is AI is the devil.
We're not talking about the Terminator. We're not talking about the Matrix.
No.
We're talking about a tool.
I want to spend this podcast rather with what it can be for our teacher.
It must be used as a tool. And that means you have to get to know it a little bit more.
It can't think like you, it can't reason like you, and most importantly, it can't love your kids.
No, can't
like
build
you.
a relationship with your children.
Hi, everybody. Cathy Tooley. Thanks for joining us again on the Tools for Success podcast. So I'm joined with one of my educational consultants, Jana. Doesn't that feel so?
It does. Feels very important.
Feels very important. We know that it really isn't, but we feel important. So working with me with Tools for Success. So we're going to tackle a topic today that I think is it's sometimes a taboo, don't you think? Mm-hmm. It's sometimes a taboo, and that is, ready? We're calling this podcast today AI-powered teaching. Mm-hmm. What's possible now? Mm-hmm. So let's address the elephant in the room, which is AI is the devil.
Yes. I come in contact with that constantly.
Jana. AI is the devil.
So I always say we're not talking about the Terminator. We're not talking about the Matrix.
No.
We're talking about a tool.
A tool.
That's it.
A tool. So for those of you that are going to watch this right now that are like, she's speaking of the devil and she's going to bring it into our schools. I want you to remember that email was once the devil.
Yes.
That phones, some might still argue that point, but phones were once the devil.
Computers.
Computers. Oh my gosh. Remember when everybody got computers? Debit cards, credit cards, and the fact that you didn't pay cash. Like, how can you function a world?
Right. I remember I was a first generation smartboard user.
Oh, I remember smartboards.
The very first year.
And now so many of our schools, it's just...
Everybody has a Promethean or a smartboard or an Apple TV.
I remember when they used to call you if you're, remember you'd be in a classroom and you would hear this... Cathy Tooley to the main office, please. Cathy Tooley to the... Where everybody heard that, right? And now they just call the teacher, right? So I say all of that not to be tongue-in-cheek. We know we're going to talk about AI, but to say everything at some point to someone was new.
Yes.
And that's what AI is. That's what AI is. We are not going to spend time in this podcast having a debate as to whether AI should be here or not. I always laughingly say it's like people that are petitioning a building that shouldn't be built when the foundation's already been laid.
Right.
AI is here. It is here, and I want to spend this podcast rather with what it can be for our teachers.
Right.
So with all of that premise in mind, if you really believe that AI is the devil, I'm going to encourage you to turn this off, because I'm not going to convince you it's not the devil, and you're not going to convince Jana or I that it is the devil. From someone who runs a very successful company, I use AI every day. Every single day. I am a writer. You can see there are books in front of me. Yet when I'm going to write that email and I'm thinking, is that the tone I wanted? I run it through ChatGPT.
Get it checked.
Now, sometimes they don't change a thing, or sometimes they think, I'm like, oh, that's so much better. But so I say all of that to say, if you really want to hear some thoughts of two veteran educators about AI who didn't exist when you started teaching, how about you?
Yes. No.
No. Then stay tuned. And if you don't, then we wish you well and we love you, and move on. Okay. So when we talk about an AI-powered teaching, what does that really mean to a real classroom teacher now?
I think for a real classroom teacher, we're really talking about how am I using this tool to assist me in the class with preparation for my class.
What does that look like?
That might be preparation in lesson plans. It might be preparation of materials. Also working with specific state standards or goal objectives. How can I use AI to help me along? So that's how I usually work with teachers when I'm talking AI is how can this help you? And I can give specific examples. I have teachers who use AI to write a specific lesson plan for a specific standard. It can even match a template that you might need to have. It can give you ideas. Now, that being said, a teacher may read that lesson plan and not like it. So it's not that you're being required to use it. It's just a simple way to do that.
It's never going to replace you.
And I
It
like
can't.
using lesson planning as an example. When I was teaching, which has been quite a few years ago now, when I was teaching, I might spend 6 hours planning for an elementary classroom, a general ed elementary classroom.
Remember
Because I
that?
had-
Writing out the lesson plan
Yes.
books and having all the resources in
Yes.
front of you. Oh my gosh.
Yes.
Yes.
And I had all these things. And a lot of times for me, I will say I was not efficient with my time. I had ended up doing that at home. Now I can take that same information and those ideas, put them into some type of AI filter, and immediately they are going to come back with some lesson plan options. I no longer have to spend the time writing that out.
That's it.
And I don't have to actually try to think up activities. And I really think that's important when you've been in the profession for a while and you're used to doing the same activities. Sometimes AI can generate something that's a little new and fresh and a little innovative.
And you're doing the same activities because you
Yes.
simply don't know a different one to do. AI can help you.
Yes.
Look, this is the activity I'm doing. Can you give me some other ideas of what that would look like?
Yeah.
I laughingly think about, for those of you that are still watching this, cautiously thinking, I don't know if it's there. Do you remember years and years ago when you would travel, you would go to AAA and pick up a triptychs?
Yes.
And it was those flipped pages, and you flip
Yes.
the pages. And I promise you, when I got up here today, I just plugged it into my phone, and
there
just
it was.
brought me here.
Yes.
And it just brought me here. So it's funny how it's allowed in certain areas of our life because that's convenient. So give me another tip. Give me another tip of another way that a teacher could use AI.
I think one of the second best way that I've seen this is that teachers are creating exit tickets, entrance tickets, bell ringers constantly. You do that on a daily basis.
Amen.
And I have teachers who are attempting to differentiate those.
Oh, of course.
So they know they have students in the room that are able to read at grade level. They know they have students below grade level. They have students above grade level. So they're able to take a type of exit ticket or a bell ringer, entrance tickets, which are becoming really popular, and they're able to take that, put it through a AI generator, and it can come up with 20 different examples of that for you, which is really nice. And I like it because when we look at modern curriculum, it may come with exit tickets. Generally, that's a popular thing to be in your
but
curriculum.
not always entrance tickets,
But
right?
and they might only have like 4 for a
Right.
topic that you're going to teach for 2 weeks.
Correct.
You need more materials. So using it as a way to generate more materials is very, very popular. And to get them differentiated at a grade level that you need them at is very important.
So why do you think so many people are so scared of AI?
Thanks so much for joining the Tools for Success podcast. Every school faces challenges, things like disengaged students, overwhelmed teachers, and leaders stretched far too thin. At Tools for Success, we've been there too. Our team of licensed administrators and former teachers partner with schools to turn those challenges into growth. Through tailored professional development, we help teachers build confidence, leaders feel supported, and students thrive. Because at the end of the day, student success is what matters most. It starts with just one conversation. Schedule your complimentary consultation at toolsforsuccessindy.com. Now, back to our podcast.
Because we have science fiction in our head.
Yeah, we do.
We
have
really
this
do.
idea that if I get on Chat GPT, I don't know what's going to come out of that computer screen
Right.
at me.
Right. And it's going to do all this with you. And so one of the biggest things that when I'm talking to teachers is I really talk about AI right now are just pattern generators.
That's it.
They take a lot of patterns, they
That
compile
you plug
them.
in there.
They
right.
compile them and they shoot them back out at you when you ask something. Now, about 90% of the time, they're going to hit you pretty good.
They do.
Around 10% of the time,
Not so good.
not so
Right.
great. So it's just recognizing a pattern. And there are different generators now that there are ones specifically for teachers that are fabulous. And, we have the one we always reference, which is ChatGPT. It works well. But you will get used to the system you practice with, and it's not as scary as you think it is.
Yeah. So why do you think that aside from the science fiction view, which I really think people believe that, well, I think that science fiction teaches us that AI is going to take over the world. And these robots, I don't know where they're going to come from. And they're going to just, replace teachers, and teachers are just going to be taught by this AI classrooms, which is the most ludicrous thing, because every single thing we've talked about is AI as a tool. It's no different than your textbook.
Correct.
It's just a different tool. It's a faster tool than your textbook, but it's not a different tool. And at the end of the day, it's not going to replace you, because you're the one that has to you look at that tool and you look at the resources that it's providing you. I use ChatGPT as an example of one I use a lot. And so ChatGPT has picked up my tone. It knows my company. It knows what I do. But there are sometimes I put a prompt in and think,
that's
really the dumbest thing I've ever heard of. Because at the end of the day, what ChatGPT can't do is think. It can't reason. It can't rationalize. It can't know my audience like I do. But to ask GPT, give me a great hook for, I've got to teach Moby Dick today. Give me a great hook to start that lesson. They'll give you hundreds of them that you've never thought of, that you're going home and racking your brain about.
Use it to save you time.
Use it to save
That's what it's here for.
It is
Use it to save your time. The third thing you kind of the third way that I see it being used a lot is it's becoming a grader for a lot of teachers.
Oh, tell me about that.
So we have some specific teacher AI engines that are designed to take a PDF of a document.
I did not know that.
And they can grade it for grammar. If you tell them, it can grade it for verbiage. It can grade it for complex sentence structure. It can give you comments about what types of comments. You can set it to do that. And so instead of, you were talking, I heard you talking to another consultant earlier, and they were talking about having to grade 190, papers in a week. I had to do that when I taught high school English. That doesn't exist anymore. You can actually scan the product, put it through the generator. It will generate grades for you. Do you need to check them?
Of course you do.
Yes.
Just like it's a tool.
Yes.
It's a tool. I promise you, I always go back to the simplest, my roofer. That roofer doesn't just open a box of nails and assume every one of them are perfect. I've watched people look at boards to make sure that, but it's wood. Should it all be the same?
It's not.
No, but it's not. You still have to be the final eye of what is appropriate and what is accurate, but it's still a tool. When you work with schools, because I know you've started work, a lot of our schools are starting to reach out regarding needing supports around AI, because I think it's I don't understand why it's become such a dilemma around, almost we're selling ourselves out. That's the feeling don't you?
Thanks for being a part of the Tools for Success podcast. At Tools for Success, we believe every student deserves a classroom where learning thrives. That's why we partner with schools to equip teachers and administrators with practical, research-based professional development that makes a real difference. From mastering classroom management to building data-driven strategies, our programs empower educators with tools and confidence to transform challenges into success. The result? Engaged teachers, supported leaders, and students who are prepared for the future. It starts with one conversation, so let's chat. Go to toolsforsuccessindy.com and click on Schedule Conversation, and let's see what we can do to help your students thrive. Now, back to our podcast.
Especially in the writing field.
Yes.
I think you hear it all the time.
Yes.
We will accept a written copy, but nothing that's AI generated. They're very particular. And I'm like,
it's almost like you are less of a person if you're willing to accept the AI
help. And I always want to respond with, if you've put it in AI, you have put yourself in that document.
Yourself.
It may create whatever it creates, and you will have to go through that document, but it is still based on what you have told it to do. It's still a writing tool.
Right.
That's the most conflict-centered thing going on right now.
Microwave, it cooks faster than an oven, but it's still just cooked.
Yes.
It's the same thing, but a microwave is just quicker.
Yes.
So I can warm up that baked potato from last night in 30 seconds, or I could put it in my oven for 20 minutes.
Right.
It's still the same baked potato.
Yes. And
That's
for some
where
reason,
that's our struggle.
there's a
Yeah.
conflict fear around that process
Yes.
right now. And I'm not sure where it's going to go. I just recognize that it's out there. And I see it with teachers. We have fear of technology at some levels.
Well, I think because by nature, we are historically a very conservative field.
We are.
We are a very conservative
And
field.
we are protective and confidential on certain things. So that always
Especially our
builds into
students'
it.
work. That's right.
And then I also think there's the unknown factor in technology. Like, I don't understand how computer viruses work. So
No.
I assume that anytime I interact on a computer, it's a possibility.
Right.
So I think we
It's
kind of
like,
process that way.
Do you remember, for those of you that are as old as Jana and I are, the first time you faxed something, I remember thinking,
Oh my gosh.
how does that happen?
Yes.
That this piece of paper and these words went through that little machine and then came out on the other side saying the same thing. Now, I no more question a fax machine
Than anything.
Than anything.
Yeah.
And I think that's where we will
Yeah.
be with AI. Now, let's swing the pendulum the other way.
Okay.
I think there are cautions that we do have to take as schools and
Definitely.
as educators as when it comes to working with AI. What would those be in your mind?
I think it's twofold. And I've had these discussions with schools that have brought me in to work with teachers in AI. And mainly they're bringing me in to work as how is this a tool and how can we use it?
Correct.
What happens in those conversations over the day or the half day or whatever it happens to be is that we realize we do not have a policy for teachers
There it is.
and we do not have
There
a
it
policy
is.
for students.
There it is.
So you have to take
There
a
it
look
is.
at it.
There it is.
One of the most popular teaching AI generators right now also offers a student connection to it. So a teacher can give them a connection to the grammar checker.
Mm-hmm.
So they can write a paper and then they can put it through the grammar checker through her account.
Mm-hmm.
That is something that sounds great and I like to talk about it, but it also really needs to be backed by a school policy.
Mm-hmm.
How are we using AI with our students? What are we allowing them to do? What are our limits? And you're already seeing some movement on that a lot. I'm already hearing schools that will not allow, the computers are no longer going home because they're afraid students will AI generate at home on homework. So all like writing papers is happening in the classroom. Instead of something we used to say, you need to get, 3 more pages tonight. You need to finish this paper. So very important. And how schools want their teachers to use it is extremely important. Do you want them to use it and how?
That's it. That's it. So I think before we just decide it's the devil, why don't we just decide it's a tool and we're going to define as a school, as a classroom,
What that is. Yes.
and how we're going to use it.
Yes.
Rather than flipping our hands to, Satan is entering our classrooms through the ethical. That was the word I couldn't come up with earlier.
Ethical.
It's become, I don't understand how AI has become so ethical. Now, listen, again, I'm not going there. I know there are some unethical things happening with AI. We're not talking about that.
No.
We're talking about your classroom. So I don't think you're creating robots. Maybe you are, but I mean, who are we to
No.
judge? But we're talking about in the modern classroom today, how can AI become a tool that makes your teaching better? When you work with schools, because Jana has become kind of our go-to person when schools reach out and say, we need some supports around AI. We want to look at AI. We want to understand it as a resource. When you go into schools and work with them, what have you found? I want to know, there's kind of a two-pointed question. What have you found to be the biggest misconception when you walk in? And then what have you found is an absolute gaping hole that they are leaving on the table, not finding time for, because they're so scared of this tool?
Thanks for listening to Tools for Success podcast. What if 1 minute could change your day? A Gentle Walk, the new faith-based journal by our founder, Cathy Tooley, offers 1 prompt, 1 prayer, 1 small step closer to God. Start your Gentle Walk today. Learn more and get your copy by visiting Warren Publishing in the link below. Now back to the podcast.
I think for most of the schools that I've worked with, they're so scared of the tool that they haven't really paid attention to what it can do for them. And I always want to say this, when you got when we first got email, which was a good example.
That. Yes.
We first got smart boards or Promethean boards. We first got projectors in the rooms.
Oh gosh, yes. TVs in the room, remember?
Yeah, TVs in the room. Those were tools that you actually had to spend time with and play with.
To figure out how to
And I
use.
say play because I really sat after school for an hour and
did.
thought, well, how can I use this? And what does
How
it
do
look
I
like?
write?
And I didn't have, there wasn't a huge amount of training on that. It was really
Correct.
me, I want to say fiddling with what that product was.
That's it.
And I think that's something that schools need to take into account when we're looking at and are not thinking of when we think of AI generators in the classroom and in the school itself. So that's kind of an issue that's popping up. What was the rest of your question? I'm sorry.
And then what is one big piece you think they're leaving on the table? They're missing. They're losing because they're so worried about the first part.
I really think the overall tool aspect is being skipped.
I agree.
They think it's only a generator of information, and instead they're not evaluating, there are generators out there just for teachers that can do all these fabulous things. The one that's very popular, and every teacher out there right now is probably going, I know what she's talking about. It has over like 90 application functions, and just one or two of them are checking a paper. There's also things that generate parent notes. There's things that generate, they're designed just to do that for you.
If you are sitting behind a keyboard typing a newsletter,
Yeah, no.
oh
no,
my,
not
no,
anymore.
No, not anymore.
Yeah.
And I think about, we were both principals. Do you remember how much, I know I spent no less than, thank God we only put a newsletter out once a month. These people that do it once a week, you're just Jesus. I couldn't do that.
We did them once a week.
Oh, we did it once a month. But
And
thank God I had a high school.
It was at least half a day.
Oh, it was at least half a day, if not more.
No more.
To make sure all the fonts were
you
right
can
and all
say
that.
these are the activities you can scan
it'll
in the
write it for you.
PDFs, and it'll make the newspaper for you.
It'll
There's
make it for
no
you.
need to do
Plunk
that
in the
anymore.
pictures and call it a day.
Yes.
I think of the teachers. I remember as a principal pushing my teachers to send out newsletters to their parents, and such pushback because it took so long. It took so long, and now, I have one of our daughter-in-laws is a teacher, and she just each week kind of writes the things that they did, and then end of the week it just generates it. It just generates it for them.
For the generators that are being built into products, like being built into Google, being built into...
That's right. These are all free.
Well, if you have a teacher website,
Oh my gosh.
that generator can now build it for you.
Yes.
And update it every week.
Yes.
You don't have to do that.
No.
So
It'll take care of it for you.
It is a huge tool that I think we're not utilizing because we're scared of it.
Because we're scared of it. So, biggest takeaway you want people to have from this podcast today when it comes to AI is what?
I think there's two. One, it is a tool.
That's it.
It must be used as a tool. And that means you have to get to know it a little bit more.
Correct.
I think the second one is that you have to have a system at your location,
That's
whatever
it.
your school is,
That's
for using it.
That's it.
The other big one that I always put out there is a warning. There are lots of generators that will check writing and tell you how much of it was AI generated. Those don't work, and they're wrong almost 100% of the time. And if you want an example, take any scripture in the Bible and put it in a generator checker.
And it will tell you
It'll
that
tell you it's 100% AI generated because that pattern is out there
Has been
everywhere.
out there replicated, right.
Yeah, it's been replicated so much that it assumes you're it's just an AI
copy
copy. And it's not. So before you accuse a child or a teacher of making it on an AI, think about that's not how that works. So have real conversations about what is going on there.
Start with some policies. Got to start with some policies. Just like anything, when we brought television to our classroom, we brought in
my
email to our
gosh.
classroom, we brought in, I remember when our phones came on our desks. I mean, there have to be policies, so you have to begin with policies.
Yep.
And I would say the second thing is play, get out there and play, get out there and play, get out there and play.
Yes, and
It's
really,
fun.
educators, I really encourage you. There are specific engines for
Just
teachers.
for you.
Use them.
For free.
Yeah, they're totally free.
For free.
And there is not one that I use. I use about 5. There is not one that I use for teachers that the free base
Isn't enough.
Is plenty.
You don't need the platinum or the
No,
whatever.
You don't have to pay your monthly fees.
So here's your challenge, teachers that are watching this as we start to wrap this up. I want you to stop for a second, and I want you to delete, silence, ignore all of the science fiction
fantasy.
fantasy that AI is. I want you to do what you do best, and that is create a policy and use it as a tool. Where it works, great.
If it doesn't, don't.
But if it doesn't, don't. And then the last thing I want you to hear is it's never, ever, ever going to replace you.
Right.
It can't. It can't think like you. It can't reason like you. And most importantly, it can't love your kids.
No. Can't
Like
build
you.
a relationship with your children.
Right. So thank you for joining us today and for being a part of this podcast. We'll see you next time. Have a great day.